So hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to talk on the topic of aggregate planning, where we will study about concept of aggregate planning, objective, importance, aggregate planning strategies, aggregate planning options, which includes demand option, supply option, and aggregate planning in service. Now, concept of aggregate planning. So aggregate planning is concerned with the determining quantity and timing of production for the immediate future from 6 to 18 months. It is intermediate term of planning decision. It begins with forecast of aggregate demand for labor level, inventory level, overtime work, controllable variables. It is production planning problem of organization to meet varying pattern of demand over an intermediate span of time. So if the demand is absolutely stable, there is no need of aggregate planning to the organization. Aggregate planning is essential as it reduces overall production cost, it optimizes the available resources, it prepares policies, rules, regulation, and implement them. Next, objectives of aggregate planning. So first is to maintain the balance in conflicting objectives involving customer service and workforce. Next is to meet forecast demand while at minimum cost. Now, importance of aggregate planning. So it is important for minimum cost, minimum inventory investment, maximum profit, maximum utilization of plant and machine, and maximum customer service. Now, aggregate planning strategies. So aggregate planning employs several strategies to meet expected customer demand. So it should depend on company's competitiveness priority and way in which the product service add value for the customer. Various strategies are used to observe the demand fluctuations. There is level of production strategy, chase demand strategy, peak demand strategy, mixed strategy. Now first talking about the level production strategy. So it is a set of production at fixed rate which changes the inventory account rate used to balance the mismatch between monthly demand and output. Demand is met by altering inventory account. Workforce size, production rate are to be constant. During the low demand, overproduction is stored as inventory to be used in future high demand. Next we have chase demand strategy. So it matches the production plan to meet the demand pattern and observe the variation in demand by hiring and firing workers. Demand is met by matching the planned monthly production with forecasted demand while inventory is held constant. During low demand, production is increased and additional workers are hired. The cost of this strategy is the cost of hiring and firing the workers. It can be effective during high unemployment and for the industries with the low skilled workers. Now next we have peak demand strategy. So it ensures high level of customer service, but it can be very costly in terms of investment. In extra workers and machine that remain ideal during the low demand period, it generally used in service operations where immediate availability of customized service is critical. It is used when superior customer is serviced is important, when customer are willing to pay extra for critical staff equipments. So it is appropriate in operations in which product service bundle is highly customized. Now next there is mixed strategy. So it changes in subcontracting production rate, size of both inventory and workforce used to adjust monthly output. By manipulating all these variables, planners can reduce cost, minimize disruption in operations, enhance customer service, improve aggregate planning based on pure strategy. It is used in manufacturing and service operations which form the inventory in which inventory can be held. Now next we have strategy, compatibility priorities, and environmental suitability. Now in the level production strategy, there is low cost, design quality, and delivery service is high. Now for the environment, it is suitable is repetitive manufacturing environment, continuous process, and highly skilled professional. Next we have chase demand strategy. So it is flexible, it designs quality, and it delivers in speed. So it is suitable in the environment where there is pure service, jobs of technique, batch manufacturing and high inventory cost. And we have peak demand strategy. So it is compatible in flexibility, quality, and the environment it is suitable is service, emergency service, easy substitute available, cost of back order high, and strategy in mixed strategy there can be any compatibility priorities, and environment is where the balance cost trade-off. Now we have aggregate planning options. So aggregate planning process determines the resources capacity that firm will need to meet its demand over the intermediate time horizon of 6 to 12 months. So it is not feasible to hire or lay off workers, increase or reduce the worksheet, add extra shift, use overtime, or build up any inventory level. So aggregate planning, there are two categories, so demand option and supply option. So in demand option we have pricing, promotion, back order, new demand, and in supply option we have hire and lay off workers, overtime, part-time and subcontracting. Now talking about the demand option, it can be shift demand from peak period to peak off period, where or create demand during off peak period, so the overall demand corresponds more closely to the capacity in the planning. So first talking about the pricing, it is important to consider the degree of price elasticity. To more elasticity, more effective pricing in influencing the demand pattern. Opportunity cost include low profit from capacity inefficient to meet the demand during the certain period, and lost profit of lost demand due to shift. For example, low rates at weekend, night flights, or low fare at early restaurants. Next we have promotion. So it is the timing of promotion effort and knowledge of response rate which enables to achieve the desired result. It is much less control over the timing of demand but more impact on the quality of promoted product. It always risks that promotion can worsen the condition when trying to improve. Now we have back order. It allows order to be taken in one period and deliver promise for the later period, where the success of this approach depends on how willing the customer are to wait for the delivery. Costs associated with back order are difficult to pin down and include lost salaries, annoyed customers and additional paperwork. And we have new demand. So developing the demand for the complementary products like lawn mowers and garden equipments, they make use of the same product and process it as it achieves more consistent use of labor, equipment and facilities. We have now supply option, where it allows planner to change the supply by adjusting labor, inventory and subcontracting. There is hire and layoff workers. It is extent to which operations are labor intensive, which determines the impact the changes in workforce level will have on the capacity. The hiring cost include recruitment, screening, training to bring the new workers up to the speed. The quality may suffer and saving may occur if workers lay off are rehired. Layoff cost include surveillance pay, potential bad feeling towards the firm. Now overtime. The use of overtime can be attractive in dealing seasonal demand peak by reducing the need to hire and train people who will have to be laid off during off season. The overtime results in lower productivity, poor quality, more accident and increase the payroll. Slack time results in less efficient use of machines and fixed assets. It gives worker time for problem solving and process improvement. Now we have part-time workers. So part-time workers depend on the things like nature of the work, training, skills and union agreement. It costs less than the regular in hourly wages and the benefits. The union may regard such workers unfavorable because they do not pay union dues and lessens the powers of the union. So the contract workers are called independent contract as they have different pay scale and no benefits. Now we have subcontracting. It enables planner to acquire temporary capacity with a great flexibility. So available capacity is quality consideration, where relative expertise can be the stability in the demand. Now we have aggregate planning in service. So aggregate planning is for service take into the account for the projected customer demand, equipment capacities, labor capabilities. It results in the plan. The resulting plan is time-based projection of service staff requirement. So first, talking about capacity prediction. So service makes more difficult to establish simple measure of the capacity. There is variety of services are offered, and individualized nature of service make difficult to predict. Capacity of bank teller depends upon the number or types of transaction requested by customer. Now we have demand for service. Demand variation occurs frequently and severe. Exponential distribution used to stimulate demand for high service demand. So the customer service established by the management express the percentage of demand that must be met and how quickly demand must be met. It is important in input to aggregate planning for the service. Service provider must be careful to plan the capacity level. Now we have service occurring when render. Now services such as financial planning, tax counseling, oil changes cannot be inventory. It removes the option of building up inventory during the slow period of the future. Service capacity goes unused when wasted. So it becomes important to be able to match the capacity and the demand. Now we have labor flexibility. Labor is the significant portion of the service as compared to the manufacturing. The advantage of aggregate planning as labor is it is flexible. There is variation in the demand and can be handled by hiring temporary workers, using part-time workers. And lastly, we have service designed at a place and time. So for example, hospital, aggregate planning to allocate funds, staff, supplies to meet the account for the wide range of factor. Restaurants, in case of high volume of production output business, as restaurant is directed towards a smooth service rate. It is determining size of the workforce, managing the demand to match fixed capacities. And lastly, we have other services like financial, hospitality, transportation, recreational activities. Now that's the end of aggregate planning. So make sure you like, comment and subscribe. You guys are amazing. Keep reading.